In our gathering today, we honor 10 of our most outstanding alumni and recognize the golden anniversary of the class of 1969. Out of respect for this tradition, we ask that all cell phones be placed on silent. I now declare the 2019 awards convocation is officially open.
Please be seated. What a crowd. This is tremendous. Got Audrey Remley sitting up here in the front row staring at me, waiting for me to say something that doesn't quite rub her right. Audrey, I'm just so delighted that you're back. You're such a wonderful force here. And on behalf of all of us at the college, I want to welcome you to Westminster College Alumni Awards Convocation. And today we gather to recognize the achievements and support of our alumni, as well as a few distinguished groups. All of us here today realize that Westminster is a very special place. Some come here to find the direction they want their lives to take. Others come because they know Westminster will provide the tools they need to take the future path that they have planned. But all ultimately pass through our sacred columns with the knowledge, the experience, the character building, the leadership training, and the friendships to succeed in life. This weekend, we come together to celebrate that common journey. For those in our honored 50-year class, that was truly a special journey. You experienced what the 1969 year group described as the week that was, as distinguished dignitaries from across the globe came to celebrate the architectural miracle that we sit in and stand in today. This Church of St. Mary the Virgin Aldermanbury, which was left in ruins by the London Blitz and then brought to Westminster stone by stone to be lovingly restored to its 17th century glory. In just 2 weeks, we will commemorate the 50th anniversary of that day with a grand celebration that will take place May 3 through 5. Festivities will include prominent speakers, a colorful parade, a presidential painting exhibit, a concert on the Mander organ, a re-hallowing service in the church, and more Churchill and Truman family members than have ever been on this campus at one time, along with state officials and church officials from London. In addition, our own college historian and emeritus faculty member, Bill Parrish, will be included and inducted as a Churchill Fellow. Bill is here with us today. It's so great to have us. Have you here. We hope that you will make plans to join us for what I know is going to be an unforgettable weekend at Westminster College and America's National Churchill Museum. Now, I would like to take the time to recognize a group of alumni who have made this a very special place in the heart of Westminster College, the Order of the Golden Legion, also known as the Old Guard. This group encompasses Westminster alumni who graduated 50 years ago or before. And I know that you can tell that they may be 50 years or before, but they obviously all married up because their wives look nothing like that. They are at the root of the spirit and history of this college. These men stood strong and proudly carried on the traditions of Westminster College. And we are honored to welcome the class of 1969 to the Old Guard today. Congratulations and thank you. Well, before we continue with today's honors, I want to take this opportunity to deliver some great news for the college, which was made possible by the dedication of so many alumni. It's my favorite topic, raising money for the college. For the past 3 years, we have held something called a Greek Challenge, which is a fundraising campaign featuring a competition between the Greek organizations on campus. 12 Westminster Greek organizations, past and present, set specific fundraising goals for their chapters and competed to raise money for the college. This is a fun, competitive event, and these contributions go to the Westminster Fund, which funds a wide range of vital college programs and benefits our students. This year, first place in sorority gifts and sorority participation goes to Kappa Alpha Theta sorority with a total of $20,000. Congratulations, Kappa Alpha Theta. First place for fraternity participation is awarded to Phi Kappa Psi with an impressive 29% alumni participation rate. Congratulations to Phi Kappa Psi. And finally, first place in fraternity fundraising for the challenge was awarded to Sigma Chi. These men raised over $335,000 in support of our college in new gifts and pledges. This is the second victory in 2 of 3 years for Sigma Chi. Congratulations to Sigma Chi fraternity. And so I add grateful thanks to these winners and all the rest of our hardworking fraternities and sororities. The Greek Challenge raised over $1.5 million in new gifts and pledges for the college. Now, if the 3 winning fraternity and sorority representatives will please come forward, I will present you with your gifts and we'll get a group photo. Want to do that in front? I'm impressed.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations. Come back to this. Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right, a group photo. Oh, you want this one? Yeah. Okay. That's our group photo. Thank you. Congratulations. At this time, we will recognize our 50-year anniversary class, the class of 1969. It's my pleasure to introduce the Grand Marshal of the Skulls of Seven, Madison Loescher, for this recognition. Madison?
In 1939, the Skulls of Seven formally instituted the Order of the Golden Legion to honor the members of the class of 1889. On the 50th anniversary of your class, your alma mater considers it a privilege to honor your membership in the Order of the Golden Legion. Through your lives, you have distinguished yourselves and brought credit to Westminster College. Your devotion is a source of gratitude to the college and your fellow alumni, and provides a most inspiring example for those of us that follow in your footsteps. We take pride in recognizing each of you, and we wish you continue health and happiness in the years ahead. You have already received your Golden Legion medallion at the Golden Anniversary Dinner last night. We hope you will wear this medallion any time you come to campus. As I call your name, would each member of the class of 1969 please stand to be recognized? Please hold your applause until the end. Mike Baker. Fritz Bike. Dr. Charles Comfort. Pat Coulter. Joe Dvorak. Rick Graft. Alan Harrell. Jim Ingham. Al Jenkins. Jerry Kennett. John Meyer. Bob Paul. John Rimmer. John Roots. Al Smith. Bill Spielben. Don Weaver. Frank Whiteback. Bill Whitlow. Bob Wiegers. Mike Zuck.
Don't forget to do Alumni.
Bull Appleberry. Got it. Can we please give all the members of the class of 1969 our biggest round of applause? It is my pleasure to say welcome to the Golden Legion. I now invite Kristen Jackson, President of the Alumni Council, to the podium.
Thank you, Madison and President Lampkin, and congratulations to all members of the Old Guard. Now for our awards presentations. Please refer to your program for complete biographical information on our honorees. Our first presentation is the 2019 Remley Women's Award. This award celebrates women who emulate the spirit of Dr. Audrey Remley, the first full-time female professor at Westminster College. Honorees champion the women of Westminster as Dr. Remley did, welcoming the first class of Westminster women in 1979. Here to present this year's award is Dr. Audrey Remley herself.
I'd like to say congratulations to the class of '69, and I want to tell you, you don't look old enough to be in the Old Guard, so just regard that. I'm honored today to present Dr. Callie Wright-Smith as the 2019 Remley Center Award. Westminster College has always had a good eye for hiring strong, smart, and competent women who have a bent toward being workaholics and are definitely the can-do type. Our honoree today is no exception to this model. After graduating from Westminster, Callie earned a master's degree at Loyola in Chicago, where she tutored students in Spanish and learned that she really liked teaching. Purdue had a good Latin study department and a good financial package for her, so that was her next stop for her PhD. After a couple of years teaching at Georgetown College in Kentucky, Callie received a call from Dr. Kurt Jefferson, who told her that there was a tenure-track position open in the political science department at Westminster. After much soul-searching, Callie and her husband, Ryan, who is also a Westminster grad, decided to come back in 2013. With her background in political science, Spanish, and Latin studies, it appears that the job of director of the Model UN was a job tailor-made for her. The second administrative title she has here is Director of the First Year Experience. This is a crucial position in that the first year experience is a make it or break it proposition for many students. Callie is obviously a woman who is not afraid of a challenge. It has happened in the last few years that the women who have earned this particular award are women that I do not know. So I like to interview them before I write a citation, because I kind of want to know who they are beyond the resume that you read in your booklet. So I learned that travel is a broadened experience, and Callie has been traveling since her parents took her and her siblings on, quote, educational, quote, vacations, which included such places as Civil War backgrounds and historical monuments. When she said this to me, a little wave of guilt went through me, because I think my husband and I did the same thing to our kids. Later, as a high school graduate, she and 3 of her friends had a very carefree trip to Europe, which has whetted her appetite for going back to Europe to see new countries and cultures. She and her husband like to take trips to cities like Chicago and New York. The most important thing in her life now is her daughter, Edie, and Callie's favorite word now is Edie's word, which is ready. Edie has heard her parents ask her if she is ready, and now Edie is asking her parents, "Are you ready, Mama?" She does it in both Spanish and English. If Callie had not settled into being a college professor and administrator, her dream would have been to open a bookstore, or to be a worker for humanitarian rights, or to be an academic advisor in a college setting. She loves the one-on-one interaction with students, and I know that good advising is an integral part of the first year experience. So I'm really proud of her for doing that and loving that. She is a loving mother, an effective administrator who sees beyond the obvious, a teacher in every sense of the word, a learner as well as a teacher, a woman who knows herself and is willing to share who she is with others, a person with broad interest, an internationalist, a humanitarian, a friend to others, and a really nice person. I am honored to present the 2019 Remley Award to Dr. Callie Wright Smith.
Make sure I get the right one here. Yes, it is. Congratulations, Callie.
Thank you so much to the college, and particularly thank you to Dr. Remley. It's really an honor to receive an award in Dr. Remley's name, as the legacy that she has left for our college is felt on this campus every day, and I think still motivates all of us to do the absolute best for our students. I'm going to try my best to be succinct, which is hard for a professor, but I see some of my students here, and they're forced to listen to me expound at length on things Monday through Friday. It doesn't feel right to do it to them on a Saturday as well. I don't know that they signed up for it, so I'm going to try to keep this brief. Westminster has given me a lot over the years. I was the sibling and daughter of Westminster alums, and then I came back and was a student, or graduated, became an alum, came back, was a faculty member, and now I'm in an administrative role. And during that time, I've learned a lot, and as I said, Westminster has given me a lot. I'm contractually obligated to put my husband at the top of that list, Ryan Smith, who's the class of 2006. He is an incredible father to our daughter Edie, and also an incredible worker for this institution as well. He, in his position in the IT department, does the work of about 5 or 6 people, and it's really excellent to be a part of a Westminster team at my house, because he's also someone who understands why we work so hard for this place, because it gave us so much when we were students as well. This college has given me some of my best friends, amazing mentors, talented and supportive departmental colleagues like John Langton, Tobias Gibson, Kurt Jefferson, countless colleagues outside of my department who I really enjoy working with every day, and that's a blessing, and students who inspire me. I've learned amazing things from all of these folks, but in the spirit of this award, I'm going to quickly talk about a few lessons that I've learned specifically from Westminster women. Number one, and there's 6 for those of you that get anxious about how long this might go. 6. Number 1, trust the housing process. Many students today come in with their roommates and sometimes their suite mates all planned out. More power to you. I didn't do that, and thank God for it. I met 3 of my favorite people in the universe, 3 of my best friends, on the first day of college: Sarah Viley, Blair Garwitz, and Brooke Mahar. These women basically were all thrown together with me completely accidentally in the quad in Scott Hall. And they, through the last 19 years, have remained as a meaningful part of my life. And I really think that even though we have some things in common, it was a certain brand of magic that brought us together and kept us together through all of those years. When I look at my Westminster friends, we are a motley crew in the best possible way. So in other words, take a few chances, because sometimes they bring you some gifts in the form of pretty exceptional people. Number 2, when you start to take yourself too seriously, make sure you have people around you that can bring you back to earth. My friend, Dr. Jamie Condis, is awesome at this. She sends me regular text messages on very important topics through my day, on such things as why Grey's Anatomy is an assault on the medical profession. And she is an incredibly important, accomplished child abuse pediatrician and deals with horrible stuff all day. If she can avoid taking herself too seriously, by God, so can I. Number 3, you're gonna be wrong and things are gonna get messy. Being wrong is a hard pill to swallow for a person who has right in her name, and it's extra difficult for any professor ever. But it's gonna happen, and when it does, it's better to keep in mind a lesson that my good friend Kristen Jackson is excellent at reminding others of. We're all gonna be pretty imperfect, but look for the goodness that comes from the messiness. Number 4, be generous. Everyone I've mentioned so far, this could apply to. But I'm gonna send this one out to my academic advisor here, Dr. Judy Shaneman. The most rewarding part of my job is working one-on-one with my students. And when I get busy and don't have as much time, I think about Dr. Shaneman. As a professor now, I really could kick myself because I think about all the times as a student that I just wandered randomly into her office to talk to her, and she was probably trying to grade 5,000 papers and get ready for another committee meeting and, just prep classes, and I would just saunter in and chat about nothing. She never let me know she was too busy, and I try to keep this in mind because it mattered so much to me as a student. Number 5, support comes from unexpected places. When I was a 20-year-old college student, I was basically living in my own bubble. But my students, and here I will extend it beyond the females, are kind, insightful, and supportive. They share their lives with us, which is a privilege. They send us Christmas cards, bring us back tokens and stories from their study abroad experiences, email us articles they think we'll like, ask about our kids, bring homemade remedies when you get laryngitis from lecturing too much. And they come back as alumni to tell us about their lives and celebrate our accomplishments. Professors may be the mentors in this dynamic, but our students make it easy. And finally, relying on a strong group of women is an immense form of power. When I was a student in graduate school and studying international politics, I never wanted to study women's rights or women's issues because I thought it would really pigeonhole me in my field. But the minute I began teaching women in politics, I gained entry into a world of awesome women trying to promote events and initiatives and programs aimed at lifting up other awesome women, and indeed the campus as a whole. This has brought me one of my favorite things about Westminster, an amazing group of female colleagues who look out for each other, who work toward common goals, and encourage you to take care of yourself. Working with outstanding women, including 2 of the universe's very best people, Cinnamon Brown and Heidi Levine, who basically keep me upright every day with their affirmation and gifts of caffeine and chocolate. In addition to some truly outstanding women like Carolyn Perry, Ingrid Alinka, Casey Lacey, and so many others, is a constant source of motivation for me to be the best for my students, but also to be a great parent, a good friend, and a happy human being. In other words, I've never been so happy to be pigeonholed as someone who works on women's issues, because I am really good company. Thank you to my family for introducing me to my Westminster family so many years ago, and thank you to all the folks on this campus who have made this my community for so many decades now. Thank you.
Our next presentation is the Jack Marshall Alumni Loyalty Award. Established in 2009, this award is bestowed annually upon alumni who demonstrated continued devotion in Westminster College through contributions of time, talent, and treasures, and to those who have demonstrated exceptional dedication and service to the college. In 2012, the award was renamed the Jack Marshall Alumni Loyalty Award in honor of Mr. Westminster himself. We are honored that Jack's brother Dick Marshall, class of 1962, is here with us today to present this year's award.
Thank you, Kristen. Those of you who knew Jack know his passion for Westminster College was unparalleled. In his 40-year career at Westminster, he touched the lives of generations of alumni as he served as Dean of Students, Dean of Admissions, Alumni Secretary, and even a couple of stints as interim president. After his retirement, he was often called upon to provide advice and insight. He would frequently drop by the alumni office to deliver news clippings on alumni, sharing personal stories of their times as students. He was always willing to accompany staff on donor visits, attend alumni events, and train the student ambassadors and Blue Jay road crew. Jack was the living definition of loyalty, and we are honored that his legacy recognized others for their dedication to the college he loves so dearly. This year's recipient of the Jack Marshall Alumni Loyalty Award is Bill Whitlow from Fulton, Missouri, class of 1969, and a member of the Phi Delta Theta fraternity. Bill's love for the college is evident in his dedicated stewardship to both Westminster and Phi Delta Theta, where he has served as chapter advisor and chapter home association president, and negotiated the turnover of the Phi Delta House to the college and the capital campaign to renovate the building. Tim Steinbeck, class of 1982, who nominated Bill, says he is an encyclopedia of knowledge about Westminster and the history of the campus passed down through generations of family and friends sharing stories. And Bill says Westminster was a great exposure to other diverse people and disciplines that set a base for his future endeavors. I am proud to present, on behalf of Westminster College, the 2019 Jack Marshall Alumni Loyalty Award to Bill Whitlow. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you to the Alumni Association. My grandfather was the first of our family to attend Westminster. We can now count around 25 Blue Jays in the family and 20 Phi Delts in the family. There are 4 of the 11 are hiding up on the balcony up there. 4 of the 11 are still alive. Jack Marshall was Dean of Students when we were here. Jack was young enough that he would blend in with the students when they were getting into trouble, and he'd write down their names in a notebook and get to them later. Jack put me on probation one year from Thanksgiving to Christmas because I helped my pledge son hide a car in town when freshmen weren't supposed to have one. But it was a real short time. He was nice to me. I left Fulton for 30 years and not really been involved with the college or my fraternity. My earliest memory at Westminster was riding the St. Bernard at the Phi Delta House when I was about 5 years old. My dad was chapter advisor, so I got to be around the house quite a bit. Excuse me. It's no surprise that when I entered Westminster, I pledged Phi Delta. My salvation my senior year was my future wife. We had dated sophomore and junior years, but she was a woodsy and left after a 2-year degree. So my senior year, I was free to be commander of ROTC, president of my fraternity, played rugby, worked 20 to 40 hours at Champ Auditorium and William Woods Theater Department, and still got 42 hours my last year to graduate. It's amazing what you can do when you don't date. I took a regular Army commission from ROTC and eventually ended up in Vietnam as an advisor. After my military career and a career in the pipe protection business, I returned to Fulton. One alumni weekend, I was attending down at the Phi Delta House. I offered to help the then chapter advisor, John Bell, to work with the chapter. That day, he gave me the keys, and I became the chapter advisor and the president of the Chapter Home Association, so it was just like that. So I followed my father and my grandfather in both those positions. Today, our family has served 73 years as chapter advisor, 84 years as president of the Chapter Home Association, and the chapter's only been there 139 years. I served 5 years as the chapter advisor and now have 19 years as the president of the Chapter Home Association. In 2000, I became chapter advisor. In the year 2000, when I became chapter advisor, Phi Delta Theta nationally went dry. No alcohol or drugs in the house. And a president, or past, Art Ho was president of the National Fraternity at that time. He's a graduate of here and been honored here before. So what happened when these rules changed? I and the chapter advisors who followed me, Josh Hanley, Bo Clapp, and Tim Steinbeck, made very slow progress toward getting these changes made. In 2012, newly initiated pledges led by Michael Schulte and Wyatt Schultz, who are over here, decided to follow the PDD standards and to eliminate alcohol and drugs in the house and eliminate hazing. The alumni held membership interviews, and those who did not want to follow the new standards were allowed to leave the chapter. At the same time these changes were made, Alan Henderson headed up a capital campaign that raised $2.4 million to improve the house. These two factors are the key to the chapter's success from then on. In 2014, Westminster began their Greek Excellence Program. PDT is the only chapter ever to reach the highest standard and has done so every year since its inception. The chapter has been the top 4 chapters in the nation for Phi Delta Theta for the last 4 years at schools under 7,000 students. That's like going to the Final Four in basketball. We won it once, we got second twice, and third once. The chapter has been number 1 in grades on campus for all but one semester in the last 5 years. The renovated house has almost no damage to it since 2014. No alcohol in the house changes the way students live. The success has taken a lot of work by the members, who you see a whole lot of them over here. They're involved in everything on campus and they're head lead up many organizations. They also have become the definition of what a fraternity can be. Westminster's greatest asset is the education it provides. I think we all know that. I think the second greatest asset is the Greek system. Most of the really successful graduates were Greeks, and the Greek system was instrumental in their leadership development. I'm being honored because a lot of alumni have helped the chapter both with time and money. The members since 2012 have been determined to do the right thing and be the best they can be. I'm retired, so I have a lot of time to wander around campus and talk to administration and staff, as these guys have testified to. That's been important because of the regular changes in personnel in the last few years. The people and the rules keep changing. I've been able to attend any fraternity council meetings, and with the alumni from other houses, we were able to get rid of the affiliate system. I attended chapter meetings as often as possible. I manage our chapter kitchen, which is the best on campus, thanks to Patsy McDonald. I often slip in the house in the morning just to see what's going on. Everybody seems to talk real well. Contrary to most advisors, I do get paid. I get about $20 a month in bacon and eggs. I spend way too much time at the chapter or the chapter house, but at least everyone, or on campus, but at least everyone knows that this old man is listening and watching because he cares for Westminster and Phi Delta Theta. Thank you again to the Alumni Association and I hope Jack Marshall approves.
Thank you, Bill. You have truly created big shoes for the rest of us to fill. Now we will recognize our Young Alumni Achievement Award honorees. This award was established in 2009 to recognize alumni who have graduated within the past 5 to 15 years and who demonstrate the Westminster mission through outstanding achievement early in their chosen career and/or dedicated leadership and service to their community. This year, we have 2 outstanding alumni who will receive this honor. The first recipient is Kalina Escalier from Chicago, Illinois, class of 2005. Kalina is the Senior Manager of Community Strategy for the YMCA of the USA's Knowledge Management Department in Chicago. In this position, she networks with local and national YMCA leaders to share knowledge, ensure social engagement, and also contribute to the launch of a national networking and knowledge-sharing platform designed to serve the Y's thousands of staff and volunteers nationwide. When Kalina first came to Westminster, she did not see herself as a leader and had no idea how she would earn a degree in education. I lacked the confidence in myself to share my thoughts, ideas, and opinions, she explains. The intentional leadership of Westminster faculty, staff, and students helped build my confidence through experiences that helped me define my place and my voice and my purpose to lead. Westminster is honored to award the 2019 Young Alumni Achievement Award to Kalina Escalier.
Thank you, Kristen, so much for the warm introduction and welcome back to Westminster. I, of course, would like to extend my gratitude for this recognition to the college, the Alumni Association, the Board of Trustees. It truly is an honor. I'm incredibly thankful for my family. I have 5 younger siblings and a collection of parents and step-parents, and not all of them have been afforded the same opportunity to attend college, and certainly not an institution like this one. But they supported me as I chose to leave Chicago on my own adventure to Little Fulton, Missouri. Westminster uncovered my passion for education and teaching. Because of this, I have the absolute privilege to wake up and do what I love every morning, working for a national organization that is committed to developing the next generation of change makers. While I left Westminster as a leader and an educator professionally, I quickly learned that the time spent outside of the academic classroom in many ways is as important as the time spent inside learning. The experiences at Westminster were the foundation in me learning this important lesson that has driven my career in youth development. Positive role models are transformational for young people, and looking back, I found this through Westminster's faculty and my peers. For me, college wasn't just a transactional experience of what was next after high school, but it was truly transformative in my life, my career, and for my family. I had no idea that when I arrived to this campus the first day, I would meet a woman who would inspire me for years to come and still does. And there's one more person I'd like to thank, and it's the person who greeted me, smiling, my freshman year in the quad, and it was my roommate, who became my roommate for 4 years. And I think someone mentioned earlier the selection process, and I thought, gee, she must have filled out her survey just right, because she's just right for me. Turns out she never did, I just got lucky. But I would like to say thank you to my 4-year Westminster roommate and one of my best friends, Liz Eisnagel, for her love, her support, her recognition, and ultimately her nomination for this award. Thank you all so much.
The second recipient is Josh Harlow, class of 2006, and a member of Kappa Alpha fraternity from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Josh is the Senior Vice President of Jones Public Relations, and in this role, he provides strategic management and counsel for integrated public relations and public affairs campaigns. In this position, he serves as the senior executive, managing all 70-plus agency accounts. In her nomination letter, Sarah Hart-Weir, class of 2004, says, quote, Josh embodies our Westminster College philosophy of lifelong learning, professional accomplishments, and a long history of deep philanthropic support to Westminster College and its students. He continues to carry Westminster in his heart by leading a life of purpose, passion, and success. Westminster College is honored to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Josh Harlow.
Thanks, Kristen. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I felt a little guilty this morning. I was at the Baymont Hotel, and one of the nice gentlemen back here was writing a speech, and I was like, oh gosh, I should write something down that I'm going to say. So I did. President Lampkin, to the board, to the faculty, staff, alumni, students, and Westminster friends, it is great. It is great to be back on campus. I want to thank the Alumni Council. I'm the first one to cry, of course I am. So I want to thank my mom and dad. As a young alumni, it was tough to send me to Westminster. I got scholarships, but my parents paid for it. And they did that because they love me, and I'll never forget them for doing that. There are 4 things that I learned at Westminster. I'm not going to talk about my career because my bio is boring and you guys can read it and all that sort of stuff. I learned about friendship. I learned about speaking your mind is an okay thing. And I learned about love. I learned a little bit about fun, too. I'll get to the love thing in a moment. I learned about friendship. There are a number of my fraternity brothers that came back here. A number of my friends. Sarah Weir was in the letter. I see so many of you here today. I don't owe Westminster College, or Westminster College owes me nothing. I owe them so much for the friends that I've made here. My first friend at Westminster College was Zach Stubbs. I was getting ready to leave the quad and go out and go to Columbia and spend the night with my friends from high school. I remember Zach Stubbs coming up and says, man, where are you going? Let's hang out. That changed my whole life. I was a KA because of Zach Stubbs. Josh Moore's sitting over there. Josh Moore is one of the kindest, best persons that I've ever known, and he means the world to me. He was my roommate for 2-3 years, and after college, he let me sleep on his couch. And he surprised me by coming here today, and it means the world to me that you're here. I love you, man. To my friend Sarah Weir, who wrote the letter, and my friend David Jackson, who wrote the nomination letter, it means the world to me that you would nominate me and to say the nice things you have said about me. Of course, I framed the letter so I can always remember that. But it means the world to me, and to work with Sarah at the National Down Syndrome Society has been one of the biggest thrills of my life, to see the transformational change that we're making for people every single day. I learned when I was talking to my wife about what to say today, she said, well, gosh, honey, your friends already know everything you ever think. There's never a secret with Harlow. They always know where you stand. And I learned that at Westminster. I think sometimes people get so caught up with, if I say something, somebody might not like it. Or if there's something, if I want to compliment somebody, they might take that the wrong way, or whatever it might be in the PC world we live in today. Well, let me give students some advice. If you don't speak your mind, somebody will speak it for you. And you need to stand up and you need to tell people what you think. That's the only way you're going to get far in this world. And I've got a lot more driving to do in this world to get far. The last thing that I'd like to talk about is love. I met a girl named Jana Manning at Westminster College. It was the most important thing I ever did in my life. Jenna and Josh do everything together. We're best friends. And everybody knows that when the Harlows do something, they do it jointly. And I'm up here today, but Jenna really deserves the recognition for having to deal with me every single day. So, in closing, I'd like to say, I know I allotted over my 3 minutes, sorry, Sarah. I'd like to say that Westminster College is a special place to me, and as someone winning the Young Alumni Achievement Award, I promise and I pledge to you all today, I will keep striving, I will keep fighting, and under my watch as a young alumni, Westminster College is going to be just fine. Thank you.
Well, dang it, that's hard to follow, guys. I don't know, who else is crying? Congratulations to the both of you. It was well deserved. Our first recipient today of the Alumni Achievement Award is David Egner from Detroit, Michigan, class of 1984, and a member of Delta Tau Delta fraternity. David was appointed head of the $1.3 billion Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation in 2006, which formed from the estate of Wilson, founder and owner of the Buffalo Bills NFL football team. The founder is charged with spending down all its assets by January 8th, 2035, to benefit specific quality of life organizations in 16 counties of Southeast Michigan and Western New York. Quote, as a small liberal arts school, Westminster encourages academic exploration across disciplines and provides intimate interactions with faculty, alumni, and speaker, David says. This helps students find their areas of passion. Westminster is honored to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to David Egner.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, President Lampkin. I have to admit, when I received a phone call a few months ago about this award, I was a bit surprised. I think I can share with all of you in this class with great confidence that if it were not for my part of the graduating class of 1984, the upper part would not have been possible. I was the first in my family to graduate high school. Although my parents were encouraging, they knew nothing about succeeding and preparing for college. My high school offered one writing and English course that was college prep. I didn't take it. I entered this institution with misconceptions about college. I was unprepared to learn and succeed. If I had attended a large university, I would have washed out in the first year. My survival and eventual graduation from Westminster can only be explained by three things. First, the size of classes at Westminster and the intimate relationships with faculty. My greatest learnings weren't in the classroom, they were outside the classroom. Conversations with faculty and students. Without a caring and interested faculty, I would have drowned in a sea of academic indifference. One such example, I saw Audrey Remley this morning, and it just reminded me of a letter that she wrote of recommendation to me that I was very moved by because she knew me personally. Two things I remember from the letter. One, she wrote, he has ingenuity. An example of that is he's bought a Santa Claus suit so that he can play Kris Kringle during the holidays to pay for his spring classes. Secondly, she said, he's a likable guy. If he has a fault, it's that he can't understand when people don't like him. Dr. Emily, I still have the Santa Claus suit, and I still don't know why people don't like me. The second reason that I had success in graduating were friends here at this great college, many of them fraternity brothers at Delta Tau Delta, two of whom had the audacity and misjudgment to to actually nominate me for this award. Imagine Westminster, for those of you younger in the room, at a time without a personal computer, for a kid who didn't know how to write and knew very little about research. For the bargain price of $1 a page, Louis Riggs, my fraternity brother, not only typed most of my papers, he was a skilled editor and provocateur. These friendships and relationships made it possible for me to graduate. They shaped me academically, and they shaped me socially. The third reason I got out of here, the history and tradition of this liberal arts program and the approach of this institution were critical to succeeding in making me a person that could look through the world through multiple lenses. It's guided me in my professional life as my role in philanthropy requires me to be sincerely curious about very complex problems and have the ability to look from many angles at issues as they're dealt with in society. These attributes were molded here at Westminster, and they're best molded at a place like this. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank and recognize my wife, Tammy. While this place shaped me for 4 years, she shaped me for most of my life after that. Her influence and spiritual leadership of our family provides a needed anchor for me, our children, and our grandchildren. And while I spent 4 terrific years at Westminster, we're about to celebrate 33 years together. I heard her the other day say something that I had in common with Westminster, that she has spent 4 terrific years with me. I'm not sure what she meant by that. So let me again thank you for this award and honor. I have such love for this institution. Without it, I would not be where I am today. And it's such an honor to be associated as part of the Westminster family.
Our next recipient of the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award is Dr. Carl Loom, class of 1964, and a member of Sigma Chi fraternity from Las Vegas, Nevada. Dr. Loom has dedicated his life to the medical profession and spent the last 44 years caring for patients, delivering hundreds of babies, and providing outstanding medical and surgical care for many women. Son Nick Loom, who nominated Dr. Loom, says, quote, "I have always been inspired by his work ethic and dedication. His values were an inspiration to me as I followed his lead into the medical profession." Westminster College is honored to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Dr. Carl Loom.
Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you very much. I'm very humbled by this award, and I appreciate all my friends and family that are here today. When I was asked about this, I was told that I should write a paragraph about what Westminster meant to me, and I couldn't do that. It was too much to write in one paragraph. And I thought about it for quite a while, and I decided that I could tell you everything I learned in 4 years at Westminster in 5 minutes, but I had to tell you, not write. And what happened is you have to understand the setting and the culture at the time. 1960 was a time when Westminster was an all-men's school with strong Presbyterian church influence. So we were required to take a freshman Bible class, which counted as a philosophy class. And I was assigned to a class taught by Dr. John Gates, the Reverend Professor Dr. John Gates, affectionately known as Pearly Gates. And Dr. Gates was a man with an angelic aura who wore a halo that was generally pretty straight, but occasionally would get tilted. And so one bleak November morning at a Saturday morning Bible class, for God's sake, which it was, we were assembled in Dr. Gates' class, and as an 18-year-old freshman, I had no idea what education meant. I later learned Einstein's definition of education, which he said education is not the learning of a lot of facts, but training of the mind to think. And my training day at Westminster began on that November morning in Dr. Gates' class, when at 8:17 in the morning, because I remember it exactly, he, when all my classmates and I were nearly asleep, called on me and said, "Loom, give the class your opinion of premarital sex." And I said, "Are you kidding me?" It's like he knew that I was going to grow up to be a gynecologist, and he wanted me to know, know that early. So my classmates woke up immediately. I did. I had a jolt of adrenaline. I couldn't, put down. Didn't sleep for several days after that question was put to me. And in the class, I decided. I thought to myself, boy, you better learn to think quick and think on your feet, and you better learn to correlate your facts and be able to come up with answers to unanswerable questions that are meaningful responses. And I don't know to this day what my response was to Dr. Gates' question, but I had to come up with something that would keep me in standing with my testosterone-driven classmates, would satisfy the Reverend Professor Dr. Gates and would not make me a complete hypocrite. So at any rate, we did that. And that was the beginning of my training at Westminster. It was like a light went on for me that mind training and learning is so important. And so at Westminster, the vast pool of knowledge was open to me where we could just jump in this ocean of knowledge and swim and learn. The professors were fabulous, encouraging, and wonderful to all of us. But as much as I learned from classwork and professors, I learned an equally amount from my peers and classmates. As has been mentioned here, friendship has become very important in Westminster and in Westminster tradition. And I learned about friendship here from my blood brother, Bob Evans, who came from Kansas City through Westminster on to law school, and whose clarity of thought, wit, and wisdom propelled him to a federal appointment as a appeals court judge. My great friend, Howard Kirstein, who I've known since we were in 7th grade, showed me what Mark Twain meant when he said there are two important days in your life, the day you are born and the day you find out why you're born. And Howard can tell you to the hour when he understood that he was going to become the world's greatest salesman, and he'll be glad to tell you that story anytime you ask him. I learned from my amazing roommate, Bill Wimmer, the charismatic, multi-talented Larry Mendonça, that the best thing you can do as a young man in school here is to be yourself and be true to yourself. I learned about leadership from great campus leaders like John McFarland, Jay Padgett, Terry Allen, and the late, great Harmon Rimmel, who I felt would be the first U.S. president from Westminster College. I learned about friendship from my friends Rich Garber, Norbert Zoing, and others. I learned that all you had to do to have a true friend was to stick out your hand and ask for friendship, and you'd be granted friendship. An amazing group of people that I was around at that time. I learned that it was okay to be smart from my brilliant classmate, Dr. Bill Blank, who ran through a difficult Westminster pre-med program without breaking a sweat, and the rest of us were, at least I was, constantly aerobically challenged by that, and it was very, very amazing. The upshot of the experience I had at Westminster, there were a couple of other things I learned. One was that it's okay to have fun. I learned that from the late Westminster trustee and benefactor, the effervescent Ron Kostic. I learned it from the great Mike Jensen. And I learned that the best thing of all is to stand tall and find the humor in every situation. And I learned that from the iconic, legendary John Prater, who occasionally shows up for amazing events. So all in all, it was a wonderful experience for me. And at the end of the 4 years, what I learned really was what kind of person that I wanted to be. I learned that I was, first of all, I wanted to be somebody with some good character. I wanted to be, I found out I was a student, I liked learning, and I wanted to continue to learn and teach what I learned to other people. I wanted to be a person with goals and ambitious purposes that I could continue to move forward. And I've gotten pretty old, but I've always kept a goal in front of me to work for. I wanted to be a friendly, congenial person and be surrounded by people who were likewise friendly and congenial, but at the same time possessed a good moral character, who knew right from wrong, good from bad. And most of all, I wanted to be a man of honor. I wanted to be able to take the right path, not necessarily the easiest path in life. And I also learned that once I learned to accept responsibility for my actions, that I was grown up, and I wanted to be somebody that was grown. So I went from an 18-year-old adolescent struggling with questions that were asked by Dr. Gates to somebody who was pretty much grown up at the end of 4 years, with some maturity, with some goals, and some ambition. The other thing I learned at Westminster is that time is important, and I've taken up enough of yours, and I appreciate the few minutes that you gave me. Thank you.
Bob Mulhauser, class of 1968, and a member of Sigma Chi fraternity from Pleasanton, California, is our next 2019 Alumni Achievement Award winner. Bob retired as Executive Vice President of Bank of America and Managing Director of Bank of America Securities after an impressive career in global corporate and investment banking. During his career, he also had responsibilities for strategic planning, marketing, and client management. Quote, "I was one of the students who took that initial walk through the columns with no clear career objectives," Mulhauser says of his time at Westminster. 4 years of exposure to our liberal arts faculty and multiple opportunities outside of the classroom and personal growth provided me with a solid foundation upon which to build. As I look back at my career, the most successful people I hired for our teams were those who had the breadth of perspective, solid interpersonal skills, determination, and resiliency. Westminster is proud to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Bob Mulhauser.
Thank you, Kristen. As I was sitting here looking out at this beautiful 17th century church, I was reminded of an event that happened 51 years ago, 1968. I was standing right here as we came together to memorialize a fraternity brother and a graduate of Westminster, Harmon Remmel, who died in Vietnam, unfortunately. But I want you just to imagine for a second, this place was just scaffolding. There was no wood, but it was packed with students, faculty, and administration. Everybody really showed their love for a fellow student and a graduate. And then 50 years ago, 1969, we dedicated the museum down below in this church as the Churchill Memorial. Later it became known as and is now known as America's National Churchill Museum. We're very proud of it. As Fletch mentioned, from May 3rd to the 5th, we're going to have an absolutely magnificent celebration. Tim Riley, our director, is going to be leading that, and I hope you all are going to be here. I am. Now, thinking about this ceremony, the granting of Alumni Achievement Award seems to me it's terrific recognition for individuals, but it's really a celebration of the achievements of Westminster College over 168 years. They helped produce us. Like a good parent, the college provided high standards, expectations, discipline, structure, and encouragement for each of us to utilize our God-given gifts to prepare us to pursue our aspirations. Then, like a very proud parent, Westminster takes the time, like today, to recognize former students who have and are leading lives of significant success and service. Upon reflection, I learned that through the school's focus on academics and personal development, I unknowingly graduated prepared to continuously learn and compete. I learned pretty quickly in some pretty tough environments that the Westminster degree takes second place to none. My 30-plus career in corporate investment banking gave me multiple opportunities, regular opportunities to interact with the best and brightest corporate executives around the world. At the time of my graduation, I just could not comprehend the return on the investment that this school had given me. Indeed, I am very, very grateful. I graduated in 1968 with an outstanding class. 5 of us have served on the Board of Trustees of Westminster College, and 3 of us, Bruce Brookby, Bob Monroe, and I, have each had the honor of serving as board chair. I'm asked from time to time by students, what does it take for someone to be asked to be a trustee? The first thing I pray for is, please God, don't let them ask me what my GPA was. And some of my friends that are sitting here understand that I probably was not focused on academics as much as I should have been. But the answer I give is that while trustees' expectations are formalized, they're really a direct reflection of what the college asks of every single person who exits and walking through those columns. Each member of our board pledges before they join the board and then reaffirms annually that they will give of their time, their expertise, and their resources back to Westminster College. My wife Reggie and I have been pleased to live up to those expectations, as we have with some of our other philanthropic interests. While fully committing oneself to any cause can come with challenges and complications, I encourage every single person in the Westminster community to support this great college. Don't stand on the sidelines, engage. Give back to Westminster. Whether your first priority is Westminster or your church or your community, it is critically important because we are all only given so many opportunities to be successful. Our alma mater asks us to seek opportunities to be significant, make a difference, do all you can to be successful within your chosen life path, and when possible, be of service to others. I thank my wife, Reggie, for supporting me as I've made 80 to 100 trips from San Francisco back here over the years since I've been on the board. Thank you, Reggie. And I also thank Kristen Jackson, our Alumni Council, our Board of Trustees, and particularly, and very important, our President and Chief Executive Officer, Fletch Lampkin. Thank you.
Our 4th recipient is Dr. William Spielman, class of 1969, and a member of Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity from Lansing, Michigan. Dr. Spielman is a professor in the College of Human Medicine at Michigan State University. For 17 years, he was chair of the Department of Physiology at the university. Dr. Spielman is responsible for major advancements in understanding the kidney's role in cardiovascular disease as a result of his 40 years of research. Westminster's size and culture at the time, with its compulsory ROTC, Greek traditions, opportunities for leadership, and work study, provided a perfect environment for leadership, growth, and potential, says Dr. Spielman. Westminster College is honored to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Dr. William Spielman.
So I like the rest of us that are being honored today, I can't express what an important and significant award this is to me. And so I want to thank the people that are responsible, the board, the awards committee. I also want to thank the, I presume it'd be the Alumni Office for organizing what has really been a very special weekend. And it really has been wonderful to reconnect. It's been an interesting time for me. This is my first time back to Westminster. I mean, I'm sort of ashamed to say that. I just, you know, life happens, and I've always been sort of a long way away. But this seems especially special, and it has been, as my wife can tell you, I've been sort of, you know, bloviating about every little thing that I see and every little reminder that comes along. But it's been really a wonderful time to reflect, and what I want to do is capture some of those things. When I graduated from, when I was a high school student, like I suspect many of us were, I was a pretty unfocused, undisciplined, not a bad student, but certainly not a motivated student. I was just adrift, and college was something you were supposed to do, and so I showed up. And in the summer of '65, I was, that was before I actually got here, been accepted but hadn't shown up yet, hadn't actually been here. And I was 17 years old, and I got a package in the mail from Westminster, and it was an assignment. And I'm thinking, gee, I haven't even shown up there yet. So, and the class of '69 will probably remember that we got a little book to read by C.P. Snow called The Two Cultures. And we were assigned to read that book and be able to discuss it when we got to freshman orientation. Well, I started reading that book, but basically what that was a little, it was excerpted from a speech that C.P. Snow gave, who was a scientist and a novelist. And the two cultures were scientific and humanities, and what he was pointing out is that there was this real separation, particularly in academic life, sort of intellectual life, modern intellectual life, is there was a huge bridge between those two cultures. Well, you know, at 17, it was sort of lost on me. I mean, that wasn't something I was thinking about. I don't know about the rest of the class, but probably not as well. So, and the other thing it did is it scared me. I thought, oh my God, you know, what have I gotten into? I mean, we're going to, you know, these are sort of lofty, unsolvable problems. And so I was thinking, you know, have I sort of bit off too much? As classes started, I began to sort of fold into, I had no plan for a major. I didn't know what I was doing. But slowly, but quicker than I thought, because of the encouragement of faculty, because of role models that I saw in the faculty, but also among the students, I began to get some traction. I began to think, and particularly a comment or two by my first biology professor, Dr. McClary, who hadn't been a long time, but he was a senior professor, but he hadn't been a long time at Westminster, and he, you know, encouraged me. He said, you know, I didn't take myself seriously at that time, so that really sort of got me started. And then, of course, there were other faculty, and not particularly science faculty. As mentioned, Dr. Gates, Dr. Bill Parrish, people that were just impressive people that had a lot of compassion. And all of a sudden, you know, I wanted to be like that. I mean, I didn't know if I could be like that, but I wanted to be like that. It was a really quite a transforming, as people have used before that term, experience for me. What I became was, time and time again, I became aware and admired curious people, and that people whose curiosity rubbed off on me, and I presume many of you. So this two cultures thing, as I can come back to it, what I want to say was this was sort of a warning in 1959 when he gave the speech, and it has become sort of a major piece of thought in academics. And I can tell you today, at the great research universities, that two cultures is sort of stronger than ever, regrettably. It is an unfortunate difference between those that are thinking about humanities and those about the sciences. I mean everything. Salary structures are different. Reward systems are different. The
The values are different, and it's difficult to have a consensus. And as somebody who's done some administration in major universities, becomes very apparent. It's hard to get the history department to sort of see the issues of the people that are doing computational physics. It's just what I can tell you is that what Westminster gave me, even though I've spent my life in higher academics, is that it gave me, it wasn't that it gave me any particular skill. It didn't give me any particular body of knowledge. It gave me the ability to be curious and learn that it wasn't just about the facts or what I had to memorize for a chemistry class. It was more about the questions. And so my whole life has been about the questions. I mean, you have to know a lot of facts to be successful in it, but it's really about those questions. If it's just the facts, we don't move forward. You've got to ask the questions based on those facts. And so, and some of us are about facts, and some of us are more about the questions. And I've been fortunate to be on the question side. So what Westminster did to me, and I'm truly grateful, is it set me in many ways on a trajectory of discovery and asking questions, and for a very wonderful, rewarding career. This is a special year for me. It turns out that this 50th reunion is happening. I'm stepping away from my university position, giving up my tenure, which is not an easy thing to do at the university. Of course, it coincides with the fact that it was 50 years. This is the memorial, the anniversary of the memorial, which those of us in the class sort of had a part of. The SAEs, for example, were actually tapped, I don't know exactly how it happened, to actually do the serving at Robertson Hall at the time for the dignitaries that were there. It was interesting. It was catered by Sardis from New York, and they brought us in. Of course, none of us knew anything about it, and there were a lot of important people there. And guys, military guys with ribbons stacked up to here, and in about. They gave us white starch coats and gave us about a 7-minute lecture on how to do this. And bang, 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 we ran through that thing. It was pretty impressive and a significant memory. So anyway, I want to express my gratitude to the college, to the board, to the awards committee for this really wonderful honor.
The next recipient is Liz Sternhill Blackwell from St. Louis, Missouri, class of 1993. Liz deals with complex litigation and appeals as an attorney and partner at the law firm of Bryan Cave Leighton Paisner. Sorry. She is also the board president for the American Civil Liberties Union of Missouri and does pro bono representation in state and federal courts for the members of the LGBTQI community. She has been a board member for the Legal Advocates for Abused Women. Quote, Westminster is a place that pushes each student to think about what they value and then develop a life and a career plan around those values, Liz says. I was engaged by professors across the curriculum who pushed me to think critically about issues, taught me to write clearly and persuasively, and answered my endless questions. At Westminster, the professors take the time to get to know the students both inside and outside the classroom. The personal engagement of the faculty is incredible. Westminster College is honored to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Liz Sternhill Blackwell.
Sure. Short speech.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is I can't stand for very long, so this will be short. I'm so honored to be receiving this Alumni Achievement Award from Westminster College. And I'm so grateful to all of the exceptional faculty here who helped me dream bigger and achieve more than I possibly could have otherwise. I would like to especially thank Dr. Carolyn Perry and Professor Wayne Zaid, who taught me how to write and think critically and also became lifelong friends. My freshman year, one of the first assignments in our freshman English class was to write a critique of a particular poem whose name I can't now remember, and frankly, I was horrified. I was fresh off of the farm and had no background or experience in literary critique, and especially not poetry. And so my essay began with an extensive dissertation of my lack of qualifications or experience with poetry. But that being the assignment, I then went ahead to go on and give my critique. The following week, Professor Bill Blyfus gave my paper back, you're laughing, with a big X through my introductory paragraph, and a note that said it should have been omitted because it detracted from what was otherwise a work of staggering genius. I might be paraphrasing that part. But it was a defining moment in my academic career and also an important lesson for my life and my work. The story reminds me of a great line from one of the most influential and significant legal dramas of our time, Legally Blonde. There's a line in the movie where one of Elwood's professors says, "In the law, there is lots of room for interpretation, but zero for self-doubt." So in other words, stake out a position and argue it with confidence. And I can say with certainty that starting with Dr. Bill Blyfus, Westminster College taught me that. The faculty at Westminster not only teach in the classroom, but also engage with students outside the classroom to ensure that they become not just better scholars, but also better people. I remember pancake breakfast at Dr. Blyfus's house during my freshman year when we were all terrified for finals week. I remember poetry readings at Professor Zaid's house, learning to read and think about poetry. And I remember corresponding with Dr. Perry long after I had already graduated and was working on my master's degree across the country. These people were mentors and friends. I remember Dr. Collins making me promise him that I would stay out of the library and travel and explore while I studied abroad at the University of Durham for a year. I did, and it opened my eyes to the world in ways I could not have imagined. I remember Dr. Langton advising me how to avoid getting arrested while protesting, and many other things. And I remember Dr. Young advising me that I didn't have to choose, actually, between divinity school and law school. I could just do both. Now, my parents may have wished I had chosen one, but I didn't. You all were amazing mentors to me. You've been great friends, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much. I also would like to thank the great friends that I made here, my wonderful parents who supported me through the whole process, and of course, my incredible wife, Kara. Thank you all so much.
Our final recipient of the 2019 Alumni Award is Chris Weil, class of 1987 and a member of Sigma Chi fraternity from New York, New York. As chairman and CEO of Momentum Worldwide, Weil has led this prestigious business to become the world's first, most awarded, and largest brand experience agency in advertising and marketing during his 18 years with the company. Chris now manages over $5 billion in sponsorship assets from clients such as Verizon and American Express at events such as the Super Bowl, Olympics, and PGA. quote, "A liberal arts education taught me first and foremost to be curious about everything, which is really what it takes to be successful in the advertising business," Weil says. Secondly, on campus, I served first as SGA social chairman and then student government president. During those 2 years, I learned not only about leadership, but I also brought and promoted 2 rock and roll shows to Westminster, Steppenwolf and the Guess Who, and the Fabulous Thunderbirds. I've basically been creating and promoting stuff ever since, end of quote. It is an honor to award the 2019 Alumni Achievement Award to Chris Weil.
Thanks, boys. Standing O is always good. Listen, I'm the only thing between you and lunch, so I will be brief. Good. See, I've got a fan already. You got to get them on your side when you start. I had a really nice speech that I wrote for you, Fletch, that was all about the power of purpose and how it connects to life. And on the way down in New York,
You're getting there, Chris.
I'm getting there. You know what? I decided that after being here that speech wasn't right. I've not been back in 30 years. And so, like Dr. Spielman, as I walked all around campus, I had a lot of memories. A lot of things came back to me. And if you take that with what I'm going through at home, which is I have 2 teenage daughters that are 15 and 17. They're in boarding school, and we're going through the East Coast look for universities and colleges. And I thought I'd just take 1 second to look at my college career compared to what I'm going through with them. ACT tests, SAT tests, college visits, short lists. I had a guy in California to call that could help us, but he's busy now. I showed up here with my best friend from high school, whose 2 brothers went here. We came from Colorado. The first time I saw the campus was at freshman orientation. First time I was in the state of Missouri was at freshman orientation. My parents weren't with me. I just showed up and started going. His brothers were Sigma Chi, and so we pledged the Sigma Chi house. I was elected pledge class president. I started dating the sweetheart of Sigma Chi and almost got blackballed before I got initiated. And then my career here began. As I said, I promoted 2 rock and roll shows. I was SGA social chairman. I was SGA president. We created a theater division that there wasn't one at the time. We staged an Anton Chekhov play, 3 Sisters, if I remember correctly, and I had a lead role. We led a march on the Hill to try to save short term. All of the students, banners, everything. And I called all of the local TV stations to come out. We demanded the president come out and speak. He didn't, he sent Kirby. And we saved short term for just a little while, I guess, long enough to get me out of here. I then ran through the columns and never looked back. But in those 4 years, I not only had all that fun and learned about leadership, I also got a great education. I got a degree in economics. I got a bit from Dr. Langdon that I still use every single day when I was writing a term paper on the fall of the Marcos regime in the Philippines. My thesis was that it was the communist insurgents that caused the fall. And he looked at me and said, "You're not getting to the root of the problem. The root of the problem, you've got to start there. And the root of the problem is that absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's where you have to start from." And in advertising, every single day, I am challenging my strategists and my creatives to say, are you really solving the problem, or are you just coming up with a bit of creative? So that's something that I've taken from Westminster and use almost every single day. So as I look at my girls who are trying to decide what their next 4 years and their journey in higher education is going to be, My greatest hope and wish for them is that they find their Westminster, a community that allows them to grow, that is supportive and challenges them, and teaches them about critical thinking and about the pursuit of knowledge. Thank you for this award. Thank you for a great 4 years and recognizing the last 30 years of what I've been doing. It is good to be back. Thank you.
Now, will all the recipients of the 2019 Alumni Awards please stand so that we may recognize you as a group? Your accomplishments are many and varied, and your fellow alumni are indeed proud of you. These accomplishments have brought honor to your alma mater. Your Alumni Association thanks you for your presence here today and congratulates you on the pride and honor which you have brought to us.
Thank you, Kristen. I really want to break script here and thank Kristen for an outstanding job of orchestrating this event today. And now, I would like to invite all past Alumni Award recipients who are present today to please stand. There we are. Like those who were honored here this morning, this group of Westminster alumni is living the Westminster mission, standing as leaders in a global community and living lives of success, significance, and service. At Westminster, our students find the power in their purpose, and you heard that theme again and again today, and hopefully we will hear that theme for decades into the future. Thanks to all of you for being with us today, and I would like now to close by congratulating the class of 1969 and all the award winners one last time. Let's please give them a round of applause. And there's going to be a picture taking after the ceremony, so I'd ask that all award recipients, presenters, and their families please return to the front of the church. That's right here, right, Bryn? At the end of the ceremony. So wait until we've finished the ceremony, and then please come forward. At this point, let us all please stand and join together in the first verse and chorus of the alma mater that you will find printed in the back of your program. And I am asking Abigail Beach, one of our very talented students, to lead us.
Street in green.
Please remain standing during the recessional and join us for the Alumni Weekend Luncheon following today's ceremony. I now declare this convocation closed.